So as we promised that this being the last Jummah before the month of Ramadan, we will look at the rulings or some of the ahkam in relation to fasting bi-idhnillahi tabaraka wa ta'ala. This is just going to be general information that we know, but just to refresh it in our minds. We will have a daily halaqah, inshallah, after Salat al-Asr. People can attend it in the masjid or view it online from their homes. Asr will be at 6 o'clock, after which there will be a halaqah, so perhaps it will start about 6:15. And at the end of the halaqah, we will give perhaps 10 minutes for people to ask questions in relation to fasting. Okay, so if there is any questions in relation to the ahkam, somebody who fears that they might have broken their fast, or questions of that nature, will be taken and answered, inshallah ta'ala. So people can ask questions from home, and they can also, attendees can ask questions here in the halaqah, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. So we begin with the requirements of fasting. Namely, there's 3 main requirements. The first one is for a person to be a Muslim. Because if a person is not a Muslim, then the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do not apply to them. At times we have non-Muslim colleagues that want to fast and experience the month of Ramadan. They can do so, but meaning that they will not be rewarded for it, because they do not have belief. So it is important for a person to believe in Allah and His Messenger and Akhirah to be rewarded for their fast. So the first requirement is Islam. The second is puberty. Although children should be encouraged from the ages of 7 onwards, should be encouraged to fast, perhaps beginning with fasting part of the day and then fasting a few days here and there, and gradually understanding from a practical perspective how to fast the month of Ramadan. Once the children reach the age of 10, maybe they should do a few more fasts during the weekend or the holidays if they are on a break from school and their education. However, the obligation only applies when a person reaches the age of puberty. And then also to be sane, to be in the right frame of mind, and not to suffer from insanity or mental health problems that make it difficult for a person to fast. Okay, so depression would not fall under this. If a person is capable of fasting, they know that it is an obligation, they know the beginning is the time of Fajr, they know the end is the time of Maghrib, they know they should not eat, drink, or have marital relations throughout the day, then they will, not everyone who is considered a mental health patient or that they have mental health issues will be absolved of the responsibility of fasting. Right? Only that person who finds it difficult to understand the principles and apply the principles due to their mental health. The requirements for the fast to be valid is to refrain from eating, drinking, that includes smoking, and marital relations from dawn until Maghrib, with the intention that you are fulfilling an obligation to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by fasting the month of Ramadan. So refrain from eating, drinking, smoking, intercourse from dawn until dusk. The reason smoking is mentioned is that often people don't see smoking as something that you eat or drink, right? So it is generally now always mentioned by ulama in their explanation of what to refrain from in the fast of the month of Ramadan. But any tobacco product that is put into the mouth will be considered haram whilst fasting. This is important. People can't use the logic of, oh, well, it's not going down to the stomach. That is not acceptable. Having said that, applying nicotine patches is permissible in the fast. Okay, because it does not go through the mouth, it goes directly from the skin to the bloodstream. So refraining from eating, drinking, smoking, intercourse from dawn until dusk. To have intention of fasting, one must make the intention between Maghrib all the way until Fajr, in order to be safe in your fast. Yes, Imam Abu Hanifa Rahmatullahi considers that a person can make intention all the way until midday. However, the safest is when you wake up for suhoor or before you go to bed at night, you intend that I will fast tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala, as part of Farida and obligation of the fast of Ramadan. Just the thought is enough. You do not have to utter or say any words. To have intention of fasting. To be free from any kind of religious impediment, such as in the case of women, right? To be on their cycle or post-natal period. So to be free of that is a requirement, obviously, for the fast to be valid. The people that are exempt from fasting are the insane. And when we say the insane, it means the person who cannot differentiate between good and bad, righteousness and evil. They are not capable of making those differences. Number two, children who are not yet pubescent or have not reached the age of puberty. Obviously that differs amongst people, but the general consensus of ulama, they agree on the age of 15. Some say a little bit more and take it up to the age of 18. But if a person reaches the age of 15 and the physical symptoms or signs of puberty have not shown, then that person is considered an adult. Okay. A traveler, a person who is traveling, does not have to fast, although it is, according to all ulama, it is preferred that a person who is traveling, if they are able to fast without difficulty, Allah Azza wa Jalla says, وَأَن تَصُومُوا خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ. To fast is better because you will gain blessing in the month of Ramadan, that fasting after Ramadan will not be the same. A sick person, obviously, somebody who, due to fasting, will either the time of recovery will be increased, or there is a threat to their life, then that person should not fast. This usually, you will get a ruling on this by consulting with a medical professional, but also asking an imam or a mufti or somebody of knowledge in relation to if you are to fast or not. A pregnant woman and a mother who is nursing her child, breastfeeding, does not have to fast, and for them it's actually preferred that they do not fast. Okay, so with the traveler, it's preferred that he fasts, but for a pregnant woman or a mother that is nursing her child, it is preferred that she does not fast. Why? Because the harm and the difficulty will not be on her body, but rather on the child. A woman who is in her monthly cycle or post-childbirth, obviously this woman does not fast, she is not required to fast, she should eat. Okay? Anyone that has an exemption should eat. Often people say, I'm just going to drink water. Or somebody who is sick, who has to take medication, says, I'm only going to take my medication. No, if you are eating and taking your medication, then you should consume food because you are not required to maintain. Having said that, a person who is exempt should not eat in public, right? But rather they should eat behind closed doors in their own privacy. The elderly or people who are chronically ill, they have a lifetime condition and they do not, there is no hope that they will recover from it. These two people obviously cannot make up the fast of Ramadan after the passing of Ramadan. So for them, fast is not an obligation, and it is better and preferred for them not to fast. And this is sometimes difficult for an elderly gentleman or lady who has been fasting all of her life, and they understand the importance of Ramadan, and they are not quite educated in Islamic knowledge and fiqh. It's very difficult to convince them to break their fast because it is harmful for them. They should not fast. And actually, most ulama agree that they do not have to give fidya. It is not compulsory for them to give fidya, meaning to pay. Why? Because they are exempt from fasting. It's not like a person who's traveling or who has a temporary condition or temporary illness. They have to make up the fast, whereas this person does not make up the fast. And to give fidya is encouraged. But if a person is not able to give fidya, then they are exempt from that also. So the Shaykh says in this case they have to give compensation for each day missed, with the intention that if they are ever to become healthy again, then they will have to keep qada and make up the fast. And if a person does not have the ability financially to pay the fidya, then we know from the hadith of Rasulullah that that person will be exempt from even paying the fidya. It's important for us to know that when we talk about fidya, in general, to make it easy, it is a handful, right, with both hands of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a mud, it is known in Arabic language, approximately a kilo and a bit more of barley or wheat, but the value is £3.50 that we have selected. You will find some consider it to be less, £2.50, £3, and some a little bit more, £4, £5. And we chose £3.50 for our masjid and our congregation because that is the sort of middle ground, and not to make it difficult for people who have to give fidya for an entire month. So often people say, well, sadaqatul fitr, why don't we make it £10 because a meal would be £10? But you are not understanding that then the fidya, if you make £10 the limit, then the person who has to give fidya has to give how much? £300 in fidya. But if you make it £3.50, then that person has to give just about £100 for the entire month of Ramadan. And so sadaqatul fitr and the fidya is the same value, but a person can give more at the time of, prior to Eid. If they want to add more in their sadaqatul fitr, they are free to do so. The things that invalidate the fast: eating and drinking anything, even for medicinal purposes. If you eat or drink intentionally, then your fast is broken. If you eat and drink unintentionally, then your fast is valid according to the majority of ulama. Marital relations during the fast, so intercourse breaks the fast and a person has to give kafara. Eating and drinking intentionally breaks the fast and a person has to give kafara. Kafara is to fast 2 months consecutively. If anything of this sort happens, then a person should seek guidance from a mufti or a person of knowledge in order to determine how to make up that fast. Eating and drinking something that is not generally consumed, right? Something that is not generally consumed and it is not nutritious, this also will break the fast. So having something in your mouth and then it slides down, and this is why perhaps ulama say that a person should not leave things place things in their mouth whilst they are fasting, because even if it is not food, it will break your fast. And an example of this is brushing one's teeth with toothpaste, right? So it is permissible, but it is makruh. Why? Because there is the danger of a person swallowing, and although toothpaste is not something that people generally eat or consume, your fast will be broken. Breaking fast because of intense hunger or thirst, this is permissible. Okay? Not if you think you are going to be hungry or thirsty. So a very hot day, you're told it's going to be 35 degrees and you are working outside and you say, oh, well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be extremely thirsty, and you don't fast. No, rather you begin your fast. And then if the necessity arises, then you can break the fast. Taking medication, obviously if you are, you end up going to hospital or you are in need of treatment, you should not stop that treatment because you are fasting. Take the treatment and then make up your fast, inshallah, after the month of Ramadan. Right. The details are many, and I don't want to go into them. I want to focus on the things that don't invalidate the fast that often people ask. So to eat, drink, or have intercourse unintentionally does not break the fast. Unintentional vomiting does not break the fast. Bathing, taking a shower to cool one's self down or to clean one's body is permissible. Applying anything, facial creams, oils, makeup, and all of these things do not break the fast because they are applied on the outside of the on the skin. Injections do not break the fast. Okay, so this is important for people that are going to be vaccinated during the month of Ramadan. Your fast, it does not break. Likewise, if you go to the doctor and they say that you need to give a blood sample, that does not invalidate your fast, and you can do that and continue fasting. To be in a state of impurity after dawn. So a person, let's say for example, they are in a state of impurity when they go to bed at night, and then they wake up and Fajr has already passed, or it is Fajr time. As long as they had intention to fast, then that does not affect their fast. They will wake up, have ghusl, pray their Fajr Salah, and their fast is valid. To swallow something that is stuck between the teeth, let's say for example you're having suhoor, and we're talking about something small in size. You're having suhoor, or you looked at the time and you stopped, and then when you stood for Fajr, you realized that there was something still stuck in your teeth and you had swallowed it. It does not invalidate the fast. So these are, and then some undesirable things. To chew something that has no flavor, right? Chewing on your pen or whatever, other than the miswak, because the miswak, there is evidence that Rasulullah used it in the fast. To taste food or to taste anything really with the tip of the tongue, that is not eating, that is tasting. Okay, so it is not impermissible because it does not find its way to the stomach. However, it is highly discouraged and it is considered as makruh. To use toothpaste for that reason, because there is a taste, it is makruh, and also makruh to backbite, lie, slander, committing sin with one's limbs renders the fast makruh, meaning that the reward of the fast is reduced. Okay, so looking at haram, listening to haram, thinking of haram, speaking haram reduces the reward of the fast. But it does not mean that your fast is broken so you can go now and enjoy a meal. Absolutely not. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the ability to, inshallah, fast the month of Ramadan and to reap the benefits. So as we said, the masjid will be open for 5 days salah. There will be a halaqah after Salatul Asr, and there will be no tarawih. So people are to offer tarawih in their homes. Yes, it is sunnah to pray in the masjid, but it is also considered sunnah by some ulama for the person who is capable of offering tarawih at home and they have the discipline to do so. It is a sunnah to offer it at home. 20 rak'ah, 8 rak'ah, how much ever you are able of doing, you can do. And it is preferable to do your tarawih in congregation and to recite the surahs that you are confident and you have memorized them well, so that you do not make mistake. But if a person is fluent in reading the Quran and they don't fear that they will be making mistakes in their recitation, they can use a mushaf or their phone to recite if their madhab permits this, which is the 3 madhab other than the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa. Imam Abu Hanifa says that if you are reading something, then you are not concentrating on your salah. Even if it is the Quran, you're concentrating, this is Hamza, this is Waw, this is Ya, and that is taking you away from the fact that you are stood before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? So these are certain matters in relation to the month of Ramadan. And as we said, if anybody has any question, we'll have a session online, inshallah, after Salatul Dhuhr tomorrow, where we are going to discuss again the month of Ramadan in detail and take questions on the month of Ramadan. You can join via our website, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, immediately after Salatul Dhuhr, or you can ask your questions daily during the month of